I lived in Boston for about 3 years, and a friend of mine that came from Bermuda, where I came from, he moved to Palm Beach and worked at Breakers. And so I came down, I said, you know, let's go and visit. I'm reading the Palm Beach Post, Wellington, the best community to raise a family. 6 months later, I was here. And then I lived in Sugar Pond. Ron Savage built a house. And my neighbor, Vinny from Mom's Kitchen, Lakewood, I worked at the Breakers as assistant maitre d' for about 3 years. And Vinny, good friend of mine from Mom's Kitchen, as a matter of fact, he just sold. And he said, Gabe, let's go. There's a place for sale down the street. I says, what? Come on. Yeah, I think it's a good deal. Let's go. So we went down, and that was 1989, 1990. I bought it, and there we are. I'm still there today. And one of the reasons why I'm still there today, being Wellington all these years, grow up with a family, kids. I have a 3 generation coming to my door. My kids had kids. Kids that work with me now, their kids that want to work with me. I have a toy boxes where the father of this kid play. Today, the kids playing with this toy box. If it was not for the people, the aggravation of the business is tough, but I love the people. I love to kid around with the people. We all know each other. We all kid around and laugh about this and that. It's a family where, to me, no money in the world will buy it. There's no money that buy such unit with the people. They talk to us about the family, the illness, you name it. We talk back to them. We give them answers. We enjoy to listen to them because some of the people, they don't have a family here. They don't have nobody. We are the family. And that's one of the reasons I think we're special, because we deal with the people, not the money dollar. We try to please them first and then feed them, let's put it that way. We have people where they come in and they don't have to order. The staff already know. One of my employees has been with me for 32 years. Where you see that, you know, it's again, it's a family where I love it, and that's why I'm here. I work 7 days a week. I don't have a day off. The only time we take off if I'm out of the state. If I don't go out of the state, I'm working, you know. And when people come in, if they don't see me, oh, where is Gabriel? What's wrong? Where did he go? What happened, you know? And a lot of the time, my son comes in and help out, so people appreciate that. Now they see him there, and you know, it keeps the show going. So one thing today, it's tough and tough. You know, the rent is the rent, but the food cost today is going to the roof. My food costs every week is $2,000 more than 3 years ago, or less. So it's tough. It's tough to, a lot of items, they're not even in stock anymore. Sometimes they back order for 2 weeks. So it's not easy to try to go from one item to another, but we try our best. And the worst part about it, eggs, bacon, potato, they triple more when the other 3 items we use the most. So, I mean, it is what it is. I love to be there, and I hope I can keep going.
First, thank you for inviting me. Apparently, you hang around here long enough, you become part of Wellington history. And it's a pleasure being at the table with people that I've done business with over the last 40-some-odd years. My wife and I moved here in 78 or 9. I started doing business here in 1978. How did we get here? My partner and cousin, who I grew up with, was building in Lake Worth, and he came through Wellington one day in 1977 and saw what was going on here, and he bought a lot and decided to build a house. In '78, I sold a business in Miami, and I was helping a friend find 7-Eleven sites, and Dade and Broward County didn't make much sense anymore. But Palm Beach County had plenty of dirt, and you could still option a site for $5,000. Anyways, every time I came to Palm Beach County, I would go visit my cousin Ronnie, and he was sitting in a trailer with his feet up and watching a superintendent build one house. Now, it was a luxury home. It was $118,000 in Pinewood East. He built it in 90 days, sold it in 10 days, made $12,000, and I said, whoa, that could be a business. So we got together, and the Shapiro Pertnoy companies were born at that time. That's how we got here.
The neat story is when I was probably 7 or 8, and I had siblings. My dad never lived with us. He'd come get all of us and sometimes the neighbor kids, hop in his old truck. We'd head way west of town. We'd go through the woods, swimming in the canals, looking for that perfect Christmas tree. He would look way up and say, that's a good one. He'd chop the bottom down, chop the top off, and go walking through the woods, swimming in the canals, and it was Wellington. So that was a long time ago. As far as how I got started is I went to junior college, and I'm not a person to study or do any kind of book work. Someone mentioned dog grooming school, and I said, oh my gosh, I've always loved animals. So I checked it out. We were dirt poor, but my mom scraped up $800 for me to go. And when I was going, this friend said, oh, well, you know what? Why don't you get your first job in Wellington? That's an up-and-coming place. I went, oh. So when I got out of school in November of 1980, I got a job working for Dr. Denoff. I'm sure some of you knew of him. And I worked for him, I believe, for 4 years. I worked all by myself, so I was taught you do quality, not quantity. And I didn't care if it took me 3 hours to groom a dog. It was going out perfect. And then I went mobile for 3 years, got pregnant, thought I could raise a baby in the shop. Been in the same shop for almost 35 years. We've won Best of the West awards like you, right? Quite a few times. Sometimes they didn't have it. Sometimes I didn't even know we won it. So. But I've always tried real hard and love, love, love what I do. I'm getting ready to retire, but I might just take off a little time and then go back. I don't know. I love it so much.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for inviting us, me and everybody. This is interesting. It'd be fun to do this more than once every 20 years or something, just to keep in touch, you know. See, originally I'm from Boston. We had stores up there. We've been in the jewelry business about 100 years. My dad started it, and through the years, I started working for him. I put my first store in 1970. He kicked me out of his store because I was telling him how to run things. So he looked at me, gave me the boot, and said, okay, take this case, and go to the next town and start your own store. So I did, and it's been working out ever since. So he was a very smart man to do that. But in the meantime, I was playing polo up in New England, up in Myopia, with some guys who would go back and forth. And if those of you are familiar with horses, you have to feed them and vet them and put shoes on them all year long. So just because you turn them out doesn't mean, it's not like a boat. You put it on a mooring and forget it. The horses, you don't. So I said, okay, let's get down to Florida. So I started playing polo at Gulfstream. And I was down here for 2 seasons, and I got a little bored during the winter, so I put an office in up on Lake Worth Road. Ultimately, we started putting stores in, and about 42 years ago, because we were playing in Wellington, I put a store in where, what's the name of it?
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster, I forgot. I'm getting old. Where Blockbusters was. We were there for
still
6
around.
years. I know, I'm still, much to the chagrin of a few people. So we were there for 6 years, and then we went to where the movie theater is for, oh, I don't know, I think we were there 26, and we've been in next to Publix up there for the last 13. So we've been here a long time, and it's been absolutely wonderful. We have customers from all over the world, people, excuse me, who we would not have had access to if we didn't come and put a store in Wellington. During the season, we have customers from North America, South America, Europe, Asia, all over the place. It's an absolutely amazing phenomenon. And most of the people that don't understand that are the people that that live in Wellington and love it for what it is. It's got great schools, good shopping. It's got a lot of positive stuff about it. But they don't. The town itself, in Jack's estimation, has to take a more positive attitude with the equestrians. It's like, well, geez, they're here again, and we're going to have to wait in line at the restaurant. There would not be a restaurant if the horse people weren't here. So it's sort of a double-edged sword.
So the early days here, there was no government because it was just a development. So
Anarchy.
those people, right, chaos. Those who were in charge were the developers. And for little builders like us, we had to deal with the Dennis Quinlans and the David Andrews and the Gary Strip. You know, some of these names are now roads, but these were the folks that we dealt with on a daily basis. And I have to say this about Gould, Florida, Inc. And some old faces that I see here remember these days. They were very interested in selling property and building up momentum here. So they did a lot of things that were unique. For instance, the first lot that we bought, and many thereafter, if it was $20,000, we gave them $2,000. They loaned us $18,000, and then we went and got a construction loan. So we were lucky enough, because we were poor, to be able to get into the building business with $2,000. And that's really what happened. Probably our first 15 lots here. And then, anyways, the Gould, Florida people were very bright and creative about trying to make this place a success. They spent an awful lot of money. I'm not sure they ever made a dime, but they spent an awful lot of money trying to get people to make that right turn out of the airport and come this way, which was a long ways to go with nothing in between. And I tell the story, or my wife tells the story, about when we moved here and we had 2 kids and there wasn't a heck of a lot to do when with little kids. She would spend her time going to the various farms and ranches and showing off the cows and the horses to him and his sister. It was a great place to raise kids. Both of my kids left. He left for 4 years. My daughter left for 15 years, going through med school and all. And they both came back to Wellington. And they both raised their families here now. The kids are going to the same schools that they went to. They now live in the same community, 10 houses apart. It's a great testament to what Gould's initial idea was and why it's been such a great place to live.
Well, years ago, myself and Linda Wirtz and Mark Goldstein and, oh my goodness, the chiropractor that was Sal LaRusso, started the Wellington Chamber of Commerce years and years and years and years ago. And it has grown since then. I have lost touch with it. We don't even belong anymore. But there are a lot of people at that time who wanted, there was not a lot of organization in the town. I mean, everybody did what they wanted to do. If they ran up against a wall, they would either knock it over or go around it or something. But there was, I mean, it was really very loose, and it's grown from then to something absolutely wonderful. But that was our contribution. We started the chamber, many, had to be, I don't know, John, how old is the chamber? 30, 35 years? Yeah, it's quite old.
Jack, there's some people here who would like to talk to you about renewing your membership.
And your car warranty.
I mean, for me, one of the things I love the most supporting this fundraising, like diabetes was to me one of the best, Boys and Girls Club, and others, the churches. But one of the reasons why I used to love that, doing that the most, was so I can go out one night and get dressed up. Because the only time I could put a tuxedo, it was going to this fundraiser, and I love every one of them.
Well, I support, y'all probably know them, Danny and Ron's Rescue.
Yep.
So they're, I mean, I know that has nothing to do with getting involved, but I'm just saying that I do like their dogs for nothing. If they call me and say, we just got one for the pound, will you do it? Yeah, you know, that's, and I donate to them, so.
That's great. That's great.
I'd rather help dogs than people, sorry.
They're more grateful, right? I know Steve is very involved in Crohn's and colitis.
Yeah, we get involved in a bunch of different things, but my wife is the past president of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation and runs a fishing tournament every year down the Keys, raises a lot of money for research for Crohn's and colitis.
Who participates in that?
I am fortunately one of the guys that has to fish in it. Everything that we do is fraught with challenge. And I will tell you that in 1978, when doing business in Wellington was doing business with Palm Beach County, the county was small, there was a lot going on, but it was simple to sit down in front of somebody and say, this is what we would like to do. And they would tell you how to get it done as simply as possible. When the county got very busy in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, it became much more difficult to have a conversation with staff that were trying to help show you the way to do things more simply. There was always, you know, go figure it out. Your problem is this, you know, go figure it out and then bring it back. That doesn't work real well for us. I will say this, that, and you may get into Wellington becoming a municipality later, but once we started doing business with the village of Wellington's building department, in the very beginning, it was just like it was back in '78. They really wanted to help. They really wanted to make sure that, you know, let's get you going quickly, you know, really the right attitude for a municipality. It got hard for 10 years. And I think, except for the fact that, you know, things are very busy all over the county and things are very difficult to permits, people, the cost of construction, I mean, everything has gone berserk. It's still compared to everywhere else that we do business, and we do a lot of our work in Palm Beach these days, Wellington is a piece of cake. And the personnel in the building department are very helpful. Now, I had a conversation with several of the people there early on, just telling them that you know, I had nothing to do with why things are the way they are, but we've talked about it for 40 years or for 30 years. And it's become an easier place to do business than almost anywhere else that we do business in the county. Just saying.
Yeah. Years ago, when the regional mall came in, I don't know how many of you were here before it was built, but we used to fly hot air balloons in the mornings, especially on weekend mornings, and we would land or take off on, there was a big pepper field down at the corner of Forest Hill and
There was another
441.
one at what was Pearson, Commerce Park on
Right.
Pearson Road was a
Right.
big pepper field.
right. I mean, it was all, when we came down here, it was all vegetables and fruit and stuff. But we could not, the people who were here a long time ago, sat down and discussed, why would anybody put a regional mall based on the demographics they took on a December, January, February, March of a particular year? They picked the high season with all the people, and they said, oh, this is going to be wonderful, we're going to build them all. They forgot about the other 8 months, which is what happened ultimately to the mall. It took them a long time to go. But that's, during the summer, it's summer. In the retail business, which I'm a little familiar, if you don't have competition between your customers, I don't care whether you're buying a car, a coat, a pair of shoes, if the lady next door goes out and buys a new car, you're going to go up to your hubby and say, new car time. And that's the way it goes, but you need the competition. If you don't have anybody to compete with, you're going to make do with what you already have.
Peer pressure.
There it is.
There's,
See, he goes fishing because the guy next to him is going to catch a bigger fish. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
During the beginning of COVID, it was not easy for us to stay alive. And now you know we were closed completely, but we will be able to still doing to-goes. And again, the support of our customer were keeping me alive. We had people tailgating in the parking lot with umbrellas, dogs, and chairs and tables. We given them food, and they will all mingle and eat the food and support us, and that's the only way we survived the beginning. And then eventually we reopened 15%, and the outdoor. We had customer come with bags of plastic plates and fork and knife. We put the food there, they will be able to go eat outside instead of eating on the styrofoam. And that's another support from, and the weather was nice, eating outside was perfect. And then until, slowly we went back to 100%. But then, after all that happened with the real estate going crazy, I'm kind of noticing that this year, so far, I think is the best summer we ever had. And the reason why, the beginning I was kind of scared because these people, younger crowd, older, seasonal investors, who are all those people bought real estate in Wellington the last, 2.5 years. And so far, good part of my side is that big percentage of people, they are family people and middle-class people where every day or other day we have new customers. Supporting through this time, being lucky one of the best in town, because today nobody reads the paper. Everybody go on the phone and Google. Well, I want to know who's the best breakfast. Oh, wow, Gabriel's Cafe is #1. And they come in. So I think so far for the business in this town should be good. It is for me. I don't know about Jack and Poppy Love here, but I think we have the best summer this year. Because usually in the summer, everybody goes away, vacation here and this and that. The host people, they're all gone. And it's nothing wrong. That's the way it's been for the last 30 years. And that's when we go on vacation. We can fix things and get ready for next season. That's every year pretty much the same. But this year, so far, it's been busier for me. I don't know.
Well, I know that we put all the dogs that are coming in on a dry erase board, and we put a little star by anyone that's new. And seems like every day we're getting like 1 to 4 new people a day.
Yeah,
Some of my employees retired or quit. We replace them. When I first got my start out here, I think I was the only dog groomer in the Western communities, I think. But now they're like every 3 miles, I think. But we still keep busy, so that's good.
The problem is now in season, I think what's going to happen. I mean, nobody like to wait. So this season, I feel sorry for the local people, and I don't know how I'm going to handle it. I hope they're going to be nice enough to understand where there's not going to be 5-10 minutes waiting. This season, I bet it's going to be at least 15-20 minutes. So I hope they understand that that's the way it's going to be. But I'm sure it's going to be a lot of angry people. Oh, I support you all year round. I have to wait 20 minutes for the table. It's going to happen.
I've heard that. Yeah.
That's going to happen, but it's nothing we can do, you know.
That reminds me of a story. The 20 minutes for a table. So we're living here since 78 or 79, and probably in the late 80s, we go to steamers. During most of the year, we're at steamers once or twice a week. Tommy knows us real well. And we go in there on a Friday night. This is the 90s or the 80s? They all blend.
So what age?
And Tommy says, hey, Steve, it'll be 20 minutes. And I go, 20 minutes? Are you kidding me? And we left.
Where Beck Street used to be.
Yeah.
Steamer was
That was
there.
the first steamers, right. And we went to some other restaurant that we, probably Menino's, or so who knows. And it was another 20-minute wait. That was the time that we recognized that we were in a seasonal community. And things changed. My wife had to learn how to cook.
A few months ago, I had a story where these people call the restaurant and says, is any waiting? It says, oh, maybe about 5-10 minutes. Okay, we'll be there, table 6. So they come in, I recognize, I says, do you guys just call? Yes, we did. Where were you? Oh, we were at First Watch, and they told us waiting for 45 minutes. So they done eating. I says, oh, now you can go First Watch to eat too for you. That was the funniest thing. They finished.
Well, what I found is you go out and there's a 20-minute wait, and you don't want to wait. You're going to have to get in the car and go somewhere else, and there's going to be a wait. Might as well just wait there.
But no, they don't. People don't understand that. No, it is what it is.
I was sort of caught between two thoughts, like, are we going to have the proper people to run the town, to take care of all the departments that a town would need, and how long is it going to take to get up and running? Or will we rely on Palm Beach County? Now, I live in Loxahatchee, have for a long time, so we deal with Palm Beach County if we need permitting or stuff like that, and that works pretty well for us. Wellington made the transition from being an unincorporated part of Palm Beach County to becoming a village quite nicely, actually. There were a few bumps, but overall it was, I think, very well done. And it made the town sort of separate from all the other towns around here, because now the village of Wellington, within my community, and my community are the people that either own businesses or have horses or are affiliated with that group. Everybody in the world knows what Wellington is, where it is, all about it, even if they'd never been here, just by talking to people who have been from the village, and they go all over the world once they leave here. So I think it was a great idea, and everybody who was in the council at that time and the people running things, Paul and the rest of them, it was well handled.
I tell a lot of my customers, don't sell, don't go anywhere. You're not going to find a town like Wellington. I don't care where you go. When was about 15 years ago when Port St. Lucie opened up, some people sold a house in Wellington, make $50,000, whatever, went up there, bought a house. A lot of them came back, they barely made it. Some left money because it's no life. In Port St. Lucie was nothing. Yeah, you have a brand new house, but then what? You have money in the bank, then what? You don't have a life. The life you are in Wellington, to me, 15 minutes from the airport, you can fly anywhere in the world. The beach, 20 minutes. You have turnpike, highway that can take you anywhere. You have the crevice. You have the town of Wellington, also the system, the way they run it. You're not going to see a town clean and perfect, painted, this and that, anywhere in the world.
He's a fan.
I tell all my customers, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love it. There's nothing wrong. People complain, oh, the taxes in Wellington. How can you afford Wellington? Yeah, nothing for nothing. You want to live in a beautiful, safe community? Churches, parks, school, you name it, the best of the best. Where are you going to find it? Somebody have to pay.
I was wrong about becoming a village. We were friendly with Kathy, and Kathy and I had conversations, Kathy Foster had conversations about citifying, and I was rabidly against it. In retrospect, I was wrong. But I can tell you, when you look at it from the standpoint of using all of Palm Beach County's services that were here and available to us, and it worked, there was no reason to change that. And when you think about adding a government with people and overhead and all of the things that come, and then the transition to making that thing work, which could be years, it was very scary for us who were doing a lot of business in Wellington at the time. Now that we've had it and it really does work, and the one thing that Kathy did say to me at the time was, and you would know, you and Al would know the what benefit we got from the state, but there was some benefit from the state which mitigated all of that big expense that we were suddenly going to start incurring. And I guess she was right. And I was wrong.
Mark your calendars.
You mentioned Father Mangrum
Yes,
from St. Davis.
yes.
He was, I love that man. He was my newspaper advertisement. Anytime I need to advertise something about Wellington, I will call him up, or he will come to the restaurant almost every day. What was the date of this and that? He knew everything about Wellington. What happened, when it happened, who happened, and this and that. I love that man. He was a very, very nice person. Matter of fact, one day, he used to go to the cafe a lot. I think it was when it was Anna Marie. There was a lady in the back, a retired lady, she loved to bake. And she was going there every day, just bake pie and this and that for the owner. And one day he said, the owner comes out, Father, come in the back. She dropped that. He said, I give her a blessing, the floor baking what she loved to bake the most. And that must be what, 90, no, that's to be 80,
Yeah, that would be.
88. When St. Davis was built?
Anyone?
What?
St. Davis Church on the corner?
St. David's in the Pines.
When?
I don't remember where the CO was, but it was the first church in Wellington.
Oh,
So it
was
was in
not
the
St.
80s,
Rita?
early 80s?
So St. Davis was the first? And then St. Rita, okay.
Okay.
Like a St. Rita and the elementary there, they worked together. Everybody used to go there.
Jack, you've mentioned the fact that the equestrian industry has attracted people from all over the world, and that includes celebrities.
Yep.
And
We had a few.
we've all encountered, do you have any stories about doing business with or
Yeah. What's his name?
what's his
Tommy
name?
Lee
A big
Jones.
celebrity. Yeah, okay.
He really, he's a nice guy, but the first thing his wife said when they came in one day, make sure nobody talk to my husband. I says, okay. He had his head down, reading the paper, like, a few people recognize him, but I make sure that nobody, will talk to him. But
Yeah, he was the same way in our store. He'd come in and he was a nice. After a while, it was funny, and he thought it was funny. He'd come in and sit down at the counter and pull his ball cap down over his face. I said, listen. Everybody loves you. Nobody's going to bother you. You don't have to worry about it. His wife was wonderful. And he said, you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. So he took his ball cap off. He said, okay, I can do business now. It was just another dimension that somebody if you're in the retail business, whoever comes through the front door is a customer, and you want to be nice to them, and they're all different. It's like you all are all different. So are these people. But we've had... I had 20 years ago, I had this great big black bus pull up in front of the store, and two really heavy, bulky guys came out, went in the store, opened the door. We didn't have a buzzer on it. Opened the door, one at one side, one at the other, and I said, can I help you? And they opened the jacket, and they had pistols stuck in their jacket, and I said, what are we doing? He said, well, the Sultan of Brunei has sent several of his wives, to do shopping. I have a problem with one. So several of his wives came down here to do some shopping, and that was only typical. They're all over the place down here. During the season, which is the horse show, the polo, the dressage horse show season, this is the biggest town for horse people in the whole world for 4 months.
And the longest.
And the longest. And the numbers are staggering. I don't know how many polo fields we have here now. John, do you know?
It's over 60.
60 something? And that's a lot of polo fields. And during the season, some of these guys are bringing in, I know Mark Gansey brings in 300-400 polo ponies. Just one guy. And to get the enormity of this out to the people of Wellington, so they will support whatever activities they have, because we want to keep them. I mean, I want to keep making a living, so we want to keep all these people around. Would be it would be a good thing. I don't know whether the equestrian committee is what they're doing or what they're not doing, but there's no publicity. I'm a horse guy. There's no publicity within the town, emanating from the town, about the wonderfulness of the town relative to equestrian.
Now, we're going to host the World Cup of Polo this year, so that's going to be something up pretty from the rest of the normal year. So I don't know how they're going to handle that.
Well, we shall see. The hour is upon us. I want to thank, first of all, our panelists. Yes.